Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Webflow Weekly. My name is Duncan, and usually I would be joined by Julian, who is currently on vacation. So we should see him again next week. And actually, I'm going to have a baby soon, so for at least a few weeks, if not months, Julian's going to be running this solo. So this is kind of that, but inverted. You got me for this week. The agenda is we're going to start with 2 quick Webflow updates on Logic and Analyze, and then we're going to get into some clonable projects from the community. First up, let's start with Webflow Logic. This is going to be going away in just a few days. It's likely you already know that this is happening, but if not, let me quickly get you up to speed. Webflow released a feature called Logic, which was meant to replace integrations with tools like Zapier or Mate. I feel like it was a really reasonable idea for them to get into this. I have in the past, for example, used Webflow forms to collect form submission data, send that to Make, and then have it get sent right back to Webflow to create a CMS item. It feels like the kind of thing Webflow could do. However, if you've used a tool like Make or Zapier before, then you know they allow you to do just crazy stuff. There is so much power under the hood, so much flexibility and functionality that it's just hard for anybody to compete, even a company as big as Web. So it makes sense they're sunsetting it, and I'm happy to see they're getting their focus back to just helping people build websites. Now, speaking of splitting the updates they've been making are solid, and although I have not used their Analyze feature yet, I'm curious to hear what people's experience has, and if the price tag has been a blocker, because it has. We can afford it, but we're already using other analytics tools which are free or have sort of integrate with but I do want to at some point. If anyone on the Webflow team is watching this, if you could add a free tier or free trial, even if the limits are really low, I would totally try this out just to explore. However, because I would need to start paying to start using it, I'm just not really ready for that. Anyway, those are the updates from Webflow so far. Wanted to keep those quick so we can dive straight into new community clonable projects. And I'm not going to go in order that they were created. Instead, I'm going to go in order of excitement. What gets me excited about a clonable project? There's a few different things. 1, it's well built. I have not looked at the build quality of these yet, so we'll do that on this call. 2, if it makes me smile. 3, if it's well documented. Or 4, if I learned something new. Like if I didn't know it was possible previously, and now I see it and I'm inspired. So, each of these projects checks at least one of those boxes, starting with Lifkoach by Rumit. This project is just very clean, very pretty. In a previous video, we talked about scroll animations and whether we like them or not, and I want to update my opinion to say, I love a good scroll animation when it fades into view from the bottom as soon as I hit the element. That way I'm actually able to read it when I want to read it, and I'm not having to wait for it to load in. So I'm a really big fan of how this was structured, layout-wise, and how the animations are set up. And then if we look at the build quality, we'll see that it is, just really good. I noticed over here they said they're using client first, which is usually a good sign. Kind of industry lingo for, I actually paid attention while setting up my class names and laying things out. Ooh, plus we have a nice blog. We have a style guide. Okay, it's a good foundation. And yeah, we have actual individual CMS templates as well. I'm really impressed by this, and I could totally see myself using this as a starting point for a future project, especially one that like a professional service that needed a place to put some content. Great job, Rumit. All right, next up, a project by Martin. This one looks to be a rebuild of this is a rebuild of a live product, a live website, which means if you're going to use this as a clonable, make sure to be careful not to remove all of the images and text so you don't get into trouble with this company's legal team. Also, out of respect for their designer, for their team, let's make sure we adapt and update what is here so that it's sufficiently new. Yeah, update what is here so that it is our own. It is new enough. Yeah, not too much to comment on design-wise. I mean, it's a production website for what seems to be a really cool product. So we're going to check out the build quality next. And it looks really intentional. Yeah. Yeah, this is seems like a great website. Although, why is the homepage just one image? This is interesting. Okay, it almost looks like we're hiding sections. Let me see. I'm going to be quiet for a second here while I scroll through and try to figure out what's going on. Let's find this hero section. Alright, we got the nav product, landing page, container, landing component. This is a very interesting way to set this up. Oh, interesting. Then we have this main wrapper, section about, section hero. Yeah, it almost looks like all this, like... Yeah. Okay, interesting. So if, Martin, if you're watching this video, if you could explain what was the idea with having the overlay section, and then anybody using this, looks like you just delete or hide that top undo, the landing page wrapper element, and then you're going to be able to access the underlying content. Which appears to be really, really well made. Wow, it's even responsive. This is a great project. Good work, Martin, and thank you for making it clonable. Alright, next up, a project by New World. I'm a big fan of the work they do. Anytime I see a project that comes up from them, I check it out. This one is a text reveal, so I'm going to open this up on the live site and check this out. As we scroll, it adds these sort of pill-shaped background images, and then the words scroll in, and then scroll out. That is a really nice level of interactivity there. Don't know exactly when I would use it, but I like it a lot. As far as how it was, I'm very curious to see. Ooh, I love this. We just have some text. Great. So I expect to see in here somewhere. Okay. Do we have a tutorial? Bring your content to life. Using native scroll animation tool, no custom. How'd you do that? Okay, so I did some more looking. I think this is not accurate, but we'll have New World chime in. I'll tag them in this video. It looks like, and I actually prefer this. This makes more sense to me. It looks like they're handling the animation through custom code, which is great because it means I could go in, update this text, publish, and then it should just start working. Whereas if I was using Webflow interactions, I would likely need to design those little background pill shapes and do all kinds of other stuff. So that's actually a good thing in my book. It just means that whenever you go to use this, make sure you carry over the custom header code and body code. There's a few different code elements inside the project as well, but it's not clear which of these are needed and which of these are SVGs. Like this is an SVG. Anyway, very cool. I would definitely use this. Thank you, New World, for this project. Next up, we got another project by Francesco, and it is a glassy Navbar. That's cool. Very cool. You can see we're distorting, sort of zooming in a little bit on the background. And as per usual, he has a video documenting how this works. So I'm not going to dig into it any more than that. I know the code quality is going to be great. The tutorial is going to be great. Highly recommend anything by Francesco. Here we have content credentials, Wicked Apps. This is a new contributor to the community who is actually featured twice this week. So really great work. What this is a content credentials. I assume this is like a sort of an API in here somewhere. We're going to open up the project on the live site and in Webflow. So, right here in Webflow we have a designable little pop-up, And then here, it looks like this is populating data from somewhere, letting us know where this image comes from. If we go to, all right, so we have a table. Cool, so that's probably how it knows how to generate that. If we go to the page code, do we have anything special? Yes, we do. Okay, so this must be where we are pulling what we're using to fetch and return the image data. I don't know if it's like analyzing the image on the page or if it's doing some kind of lookup, but check this out. If you click on verify, it opens this up on contentcredentials.org, which I need to do more research on. I have not used this before, but in a world of AI creating half the stuff we look at, I expect to see more sites like this. Yeah, so I learned something new. I didn't know this was a thing. Thank you, Wicked Apps, for making it easy and for showing me that it was possible. Again, Wicked Apps, GSAP, video on scroll. This is awesome. Assuming I had the ability to create high quality videos that I wanted to appear on a website, having the playback tied to a scroll animation could allow me to do some really fun stuff. Simple project, nothing crazy going on here, but a great reminder of what's possible and inspiration for a future project. Then we have this hover animation by Rishabh. Rishabh's been contributing a lot to the showcase. He's a great community member and a big fan of the stuff that he makes. He's consistent. Let's see how this works under the hood. I'm curious if we're doing anything with like Webflow hover or, okay, so we've got some code embeds, radial border, code embed before. Okay, so there's some like custom code stuff going on. Each card uses CSS transforms, smooth hover transitions, and minimal interactions to create an elegant 3D feel. So it would take a little bit of doing to understand how this is working. We don't have any custom code, and I don't think we have any Webflow interactions. I didn't see any. Okay, no animations. So yeah, it's all just right in here. Very cool. I think what I would do if I were going to use this in a project is I would probably open the live site. I would inspect, just copy the whole thing, come over here, paste it in, and say, can you explain how the glow effect is achieved? Right, so it looks like we've got an explanation. So, cutoff effect where only border area is visible, hiding the inner content area. Ah, okay, cool. Oh, because we have the mask CSS. Great. Dynamic cursor following glow. Okay, so there was some JavaScript in there that I missed. Nice. Okay, very cool. This is one of those things you could add to basically any project to just make it a little more interactive, a little more premium feeling. I feel like I'm going around the project with a flashlight and getting a beautiful gleam off of these divs. And finally, there were 3 projects by McNime on the Memberstackk team for new member scripts. And member scripts are a Webflow project with code and a tutorial that explains how to solve a common problem or to build a common UI. In this case, we have a feedback form, which could be embedded into a page. Pretty sure under the hood, this is pulling like member data. So if somebody were logged, you could have this be on a particular page, pass in the page URL and the feedback that user's. In addition, she also created a range slider feedback widget and the ability to encrypt data before it gets passed into Memberstackk and then gets encrypted again. So it's a way of adding even more. Yeah. And that is a quick summary of not every single project created by the community, but some of the ones that stood out to me that I felt like we had time to cover on today's video. This one's shorter, but we're going to be doing a lot of experimenting with the lengths of these videos, different segments, and different types of content. So if you have ideas, if you have feedback on the way we're making these videos, we're totally open to ideas and would love to get your input on ways we can make a fun of the week to celebrate the community, to highlight the work that people are doing for free. So thank you so much for watching. This has been episode 3 of Webflow Weekly. Again, my name is Duncan, and next week Julian should be back with us. Until then, I hope you have a great week. I hope you build something cool, and if you release it on the showcase, we might feature it here next week. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.